From News Nation headquarters, this is News Nation Prime.
We want to bring in Democratic strategist David Carlucci and Republican strategist Matt Klink to speak more about the current state of affairs in American politics. Gentlemen, welcome both. David, let's start with you on what Joe Khalil was just saying. What do you make of Al Gore's approach here? Is this a winning strategy, or do you think Democrats are alienating moderate voters?
Well, I don't think we're looking to Al Gore for strategy here. I think he's just speaking his mind. And you see that from a lot of political people that have been involved over the years that are just ringing the alarm bells and saying, hey, let's pay attention here. Let's revisit the history books. And I think ultimately voters aren't looking for a left turn or a right turn. They're looking for these politicians to stop driving in circles. And that's why the Democrats, we need to broaden our coalition. We need to be forgiving and say, if you don't agree with everything, we can still have you as part of the party. And I think you see that growing as Trump's polling numbers go down. It's not Democrats, it's Democrats and independents and Republicans that will lead to these victories in the midterms and then ultimately to the White House in 28.
So, Matt, are Republicans viewing language that compares the Trump administration to fascist regimes and oligarchies as a political threat? In recent weeks, we have seen protesters showing up in droves to rally against the president and Elon Musk.
Yeah, Natasha, I always love it when losers like Al Gore try to make themselves politically relevant again. Look, the Democrats tried this in 2022. They tried it again in 2024. The people that are showing up at rallies are Democratic base voters and progressive Democratic base voters at that. So these are not new concerns. It's a failed message from a party that has, as David even said, they're looking to expand their list of messengers. If they want to trot back out Hillary Clinton and Al Gore and an 85-year-old Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, more power to them. Look, Trump is struggling right now. I'm the first to admit it. But what he needs to do is Congress needs to move forward on their reconciliation package because he hasn't passed the main plank of his economic platform. But I love it when you get Al Gore and others that are from times gone by out there talking about how Trump is allegedly a Adolf Hitler or a fascist. What a joke.
Matt, let's stay with you because you just brought this up. I mean, President Trump's favorability among voters really appears to be dropping. We have this new Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll. 39% of Americans approve of how he's handling the presidency. 55% do not approve. I mean, is this concerning for Republicans?
Absolutely, it should be. I mean, look, he still ranks higher than Joe Biden did when he left office, but voters are in a sour mood. And, for 3 months of Donald Trump is not going to turn the economy around this quickly, but voters are impatient. They want action now. And they want results immediately. And that's why, Trump can't do it all by himself. He needs Congress to move. And unfortunately, as David knows, because now the Republicans are burdened by what the Democrats were burdened with when they had power, Congress moves slowly by design, and the American public, they're not ready to wait. They want it now.
You might have forgot about
David, you have the floor.
Well, remember, when the Democrats did have the House, when Joe Biden was the president, you might not have liked the policies that came through, but many Americans did, and is the reason why we avoided a recession and a possible depression coming out of the time of Donald Trump and all the economic chaos that we had. So we got things done like Build Back Better, the CHIPS Act, the list goes on. And all Donald Trump does is attack, destroy, blame. That's his MO. And that's why you see these poll numbers coming down, because people are like, wait, but Joe Biden isn't the president anymore. How come prices aren't coming down? How come you haven't fixed things overseas like you said you would do? And people are beginning to think it's just figurative, like the president is saying. Well, I'm just speaking figuratively. Well, what's real, what's not? And push comes to shove, you are the president, so results better come through. So I think that's why you see these numbers coming down. And I think you're going to see a bloodbath of Republicans losing in special elections and come the midterms.
Yeah, Matt, I see you nodding there. What is your take?
Well, recent history demonstrates that losing in special elections is not the case. It depends on where the elections are held, because the Republicans held 2 seats in Florida. All that being said is that, look, the American public, they have been in a sour mood for a long time. They became slightly more optimistic when Donald Trump took over the reins of government on January 20th. And he has his 100-day anniversary coming up, and they want progress to occur more quickly. And ultimately, the Republican Party's success will hinge 100% on Congress's ability to enact Donald Trump's reconciliation package and tax plan. And if they fail, the Republicans will bear the price.
You know, David, we see California Governor Gavin Newsom speaking with our partners at the Hill, telling them this about the Democrats' devastating losses in 2024. He says, "We have not done a forensic of what went wrong, period, full stop." He goes on to say the Democratic Party is going through a period of uncertainty. He says, "I don't know what the party is. I'm still struggling with that." What do you make of his assessment?
Well, I think it is hard when you compare the GOP and the Democratic Party right now, because the GOP is just Donald Trump. It is nothing more, nothing less than whatever Donald Trump wants. So when you look to another party and there's not a 100% visible leader, there isn't 100% agreement on every policy, it can look a little shaky. But I think that's what the Democratic Party embodies, is this idea that we have a chorus of different ideas, but we can get together under one big tent to move our economy forward, to protect our environment, and to progress the democratic policies that we hold dear here in this country and around the world. So I think that's what Gavin Newsom is hinting at, is this idea that we have to make sure we are broadening the coalition, because like my friend said here tonight, it's that these Democrats are the ones coming and protesting. I would say that is not entirely true. I think there are people, you saw it in an early segment tonight on News Nation, where a lady's talking about starting to think about some of these regrets of some of the actions that Donald Trump has taken, and people that are losing their jobs. They're coming over and saying, I might not be a Democrat, but I'm certainly not voting for these Republicans.
All right, David Carlucci, Matt Klink, appreciate you both. Thank you.